And this is the moment we get into the conversational part of this bulletin. And like I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the bulletin, we are speaking about leadership and innovation. Let me introduce you to my guest this evening. We have with us Jacob Ouma. He's a Group MD at Media Communications Limited. Thank you for being here, Jacob.
Thank you for having me.
You well?
I'm well.
I hear there's a flu attacking you, but you know, God knew you had to be here.
Yeah, we shall not be moved.
Exactly, you cannot be moved. We also have with us in studio Anne Muhia. Muhia.
Yes.
Hey, let me take myself back with that, Anne. I beg your pardon. Anne Muhia, digital creator and entrepreneur, founder, Winners Arena Africa. Anne, how are you feeling this evening?
I'm really glad to be here.
We are happy to have you.
I can't wait to have this conversation.
Thank
you so much for the invitation.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for being here. And I'll begin with this, right? So our audience needs to get acquainted with yourselves. I mentioned your titles, but let's get it from you, right? So I'll begin with Jacob. Jacob, elaborate further what you do.
Okay, what I do is I am the Group MD for Media Communication, which is based here and also in Johannesburg, South Africa. But we have projects across the African continent where we do PR, communication, media relations, and just the whole communication package. I am also a director in 4Men Shoes, which is a market leader in the high-end men's fashion shoes. So yeah, I'm happy to be here and can't wait for the conversations.
Of course. And Anne, elaborate for us what you do.
Yeah, my name is Anne Muhia, founder of Linity Dynamics Africa, which is a company that helps organizations automate their processes. I'm also the founder of Winners Arena Africa. And basically, I document my own journey and I amplify other founders' journey in an attempt to empower everyday African entrepreneurs.
Got you.
Yeah.
Now, let's begin from here. We all had perspectives of leadership and innovation growing up, you know. So we got it clear that all of you, or both of you rather, are millennials. So what was your indication of leadership and innovation growing up? I'll begin with you, Jacob.
Oh, so basically it started with, you know, growing up where you carry leadership attributes. Sorry, I'm using leadership to define leadership. But basically those qualities that many people look at and they're like, we would want to associate with this person, we would want to follow or emulate this person, or we would like to attach ourselves to the vision of this person. So I was that person growing up, the one who would come up with initiatives and rally people behind it and get their buy-in and before implementing and executing it. So that has been my life. Everywhere I've lived, everywhere I've schooled, it's always been about being the torchbearer, coming up with disruptive solutions to the status quo. And,
but who inspired your perspective on leadership growing up?
So I remember there's a time when I was with my mother in primary, and I was supposed to be the main character of a play called The Golden Handshake.
Okay.
And the characters in that book, that specific character was somebody who received a golden handshake, the final payout before retirement, and went to squander it and came back with nothing. And my mother told me, my son, never accept such a role because you are destined for greatness. So that is the first thing that basically calibrated me into consciously thinking of myself as one day becoming this person who I need to portray to the society what my values are.
Okay then, Anne.
Interesting. I think my definition of leadership has sort of evolved. I think before, maybe like let's say about 10 years ago and before, I looked at leadership as power. I looked at corner office, like that, like to be a leader you needed to have these big, grand, great things. But I think that definition has sort of evolved over time. And I think today I define leadership in its sort of like simplest form. And for me, it starts with self. So you have to lead yourself first before you can lead any other person or influence them into being great, for example. And for you to sustain it, you have to remain humble, curious, so that then it's sustainable, because otherwise then you get to the high positions and it gets in your head and you forget the vision.
Right, so let's take it here now. You know, you have to be brave to be a leader. You have to understand that not everyone will love you, not everyone will agree with you, but also you may be very loved, very appreciated. And like she's mentioned, Jacob, Anne that is, she said you have to deal with yourself, right? So your personality that we may not know. You know, like the part that is maybe you're a bit insecure about A, B, C, D, maybe you don't like to be criticized or you like to be criticized. You know what I mean? Because it works on both ends. When you get two extremes of each other, they feed into some, you know, nonsense. You know what I mean? So how did you deal with yourself to say, okay, right now I'm brave enough, or I'll deal with it as I go? I don't know. You tell us.
So let me just say, I attribute the church as a, you know, religious institution as a training ground for leadership. And for me, it started with those church fellowships, which we used to call cell groups, where you find yourself at that point, you're having your peers and they're looking up to you to prepare what kinds of missions are you going to do, what kind of activities are you going to get into. So for me, that was my first affirmation that I actually can do this thing. And now from that training ground, I remember transitioning into university. The first year, I went into politics vying as a first-year student.
Wow, that's something.
And that field showed me dust, you know. There's nothing like campus politics, especially when you're a fresher.
I can imagine,
Then after that, getting into now pursuing my passion. And I sat down and asked myself, what is it that I can do with my hands, you know? And those days I said, okay, let me pursue these modeling things. And I got into Mr. University, went, represented Kenya abroad and all that. And coming back, I realized that introspection, that talk that I made to myself, that, hey, you can actually be the face of Kenyan universities. They can look up to you. Then after that, brands started coming my way. Do this billboard, do these TV commercials, be our brand ambassador and all that, which is all leadership. So it has always been carrying it from one thing to another.
Got you.
If I
So
take
you're
it even,
cinching it, rather.
Yes, if I take it even after campus, there's a time, because we had already started our company, and I said, I think I've seen everything and I understand so much about marketing and comms. Why don't I look for a leader who we can support in their campaigns and communication for them to, you know, become to whichever position they want?
Yeah.
And one day I sat and I was like, why not me? Because if I can do it for somebody else, I'm the person. So that is how, immediately after university, when my peers were looking for jobs, I was campaigning in Langata to be MP at a very tender age.
That's some confidence right there.
So it always is about that point where you say, why not me? So for me, it has always been about that.
Okay, there's a lot of confidence. And Anne, you said this in one of your statements, and despite having 9 years of experience in corporate, nothing could have truly prepared me for what lay ahead, and that's the heart behind my brand, unprepared to entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Elaborate.
So they say necessity is the mother of
invention.
Invention. So I have 9 years corporate experience, and then I leave corporate in a jiff, like unplanned, right?
Yeah. I
was part out. I was on my way out. So I just surrendered early.
Okay.
So now I'm in entrepreneurship, no plan. I'm literally in uncharted waters. And so I do this entrepreneurship thing where I'm trying to figure out what do I have in hand, what can I offer that is of value that I can get paid for. And as I'm trying to navigate that and figure out this solution, how to sell it, I'm an accountant, how do I make sales and blah, blah, blah. So that navigation was, those were like murky waters. It wasn't something I had experienced before. And I thought, you know, I've left corporate, senior management levels. I mean, what is a small business? I can run this thing. Yeah. And then I get really surprised that the experience I had in corporate could not translate, at least for a startup. I needed to sort of unlearn a lot of things and relearn. And so through that pain, I've been trying to seek community because, again, when I left employment, most of my friends were still in employment. So we really could not help each other because they don't understand the journey that I am on. And so I was really seeking community, couldn't find it, or rather it was hard to find. And I started sort of sharing my journey. This is 2016 on Facebook. no one was listening, no one was commenting, or nobody was, it was just crickets.
Yeah.
And so I gave up, but I still had the itch, because you see the journey I'm still journeying, right?
Yeah.
And the losses are more, they're more expensive, I'm losing more money, I'm spending more time, I'm losing time. And so I decided to try it again, this time on TikTok. And I wasn't expecting much. I was doing it for two things. I wanted to be a better public speaker, because I was fumbling, you know, as I speak. And then I also wanted to vent. You know, I'll just vent to the camera.
Yeah.
And, you know, as I go along, I'll get better at public speaking. And maybe I might find community. And so I started just doing videos, sharing my journey as it is, what I'm experiencing. And then it turns out this is actually how it goes. Everybody is experiencing sort of the same, where you're trying things, some are working, others are not working, you're learning your lessons, you're getting back up again and trying again, and stuff like that.
You got a community that could be able to relate, basically.
There are many people who could relate, and so therefore now I've created this community. And as I went along, I'm like, okay, my story is only one story. So I invite other entrepreneurs to come and also share their journey. But the mission, or like the purpose, is to empower everyday African entrepreneur. Okay. Because if I have this much corporate experience and I am struggling, you can imagine how many we are.
You know, my story is actually different from hers, because for me, the eureka moment came when I was still a student in med school. Because that time, as a university student, I was doing billboards, TV commercials. You're paid good money. And I asked myself, okay, these agencies that are paying me all this money, how much are they making?
A whole lot.
Yeah, so I was like, why not just start my own agency and be the one who is going to actually empower the young people who are rising? So that is how we registered at Media Communication as a campus student. I didn't have any corporate...
All the way while still in campus?
While still in campus.
That is so dope.
And I remember I would go pitching with the same agencies that used to contract me for their campaigns.
And how was that experience?
It was amazing. I remember, like,
they trusted you?
They trusted me. Like, when Blue Shield Insurance was going under receivership and they were rebranding to Shield Assurance, I was pitching there with all the top agencies. And I, as a student, ended up being picked. I remember still as a student training I&M Bank staff, different departments on on working culture, creating a working culture and all that. And one of the MD who became later a CS would ask me over lunch break, hey, how long have you done this? And I would tell him 5 years. I'm still a student, so I'm counting the time I did stuff in church as part of my experience.
You took everything together.
Yes. Right. So I didn't have to unlearn anything. Mine was more innovation and application. Because, like, I run a PR and comms firm, but in the medical course, public health, nursing, what we used to do is there's health systems management. So you can carry actually health system management and implement it. Communication in medical practice, you can carry that into
like
corporate.
Basically take all the wealth of experience and information you have and let it speak for you in your...
Exactly. And I would use the same methodology that we use in the medical and nursing diagnosis to come up with campaigns for marketing.
So you did get to use your degree?
Exactly. I got to use it through application, and it gives me an unfair advantage against competitors, because the medical field structures you. It makes you look at rationales. Why are you doing what you're doing? What is the expected outcome?
Right. Let's look at it this way then. You know, one of the things I've gotten from both of you is that you have to accept constant evolution. You're supposed to be able to read your seasons, and you're not supposed to be, you know, you're not supposed to sit down and say, I can. You need to run with the confidence no matter what, right? But there's a trait of leadership we have in the country, and I don't know if it caught you guys and the bug of it, which is there's a way your public image needs to be squeaky, you know, clean. Like you need to present a particular way. But it doesn't matter if your backyard doesn't look nice. That means your personal life. Like in Ukumbele, tuambie uko organized, uko sawa, tunakuheshimu. Like, you know, you don't know about your personal, you know, life. So how do you guys take those dynamics? I don't know where I was. Was it with you, Jacob?
Yes.
Or Anne?
Jacob.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's one thing I learned after my stint in 2013 elections. As a young guy pursuing
yes,
politics.
Yes, you did mention.
Yes, and I remember that time you're going against moneyed opponents, so you have to innovate. How can I still sell my policies out there.
Was your budget looking like it's supposed to look?
My goodness, I was the one who was called broke. And so how we used to do it is to go door to door and sell our policies door to door. There's no door we didn't knock in the slums, in the high-end places, all that. And I remember during that time, after all that experience, party primaries, drama, one moment you have certificate, the next it is gone. And after the election experience, I looked back and I asked myself, how can I help young people, women and those living with disabilities and want to pursue this path to make it easier for them? So it started Pan-African Leadership Incubator. This is after Mandela Washington Fellowship. I was in the first inaugural class. And one of the things we train aspiring politicians who are young is authenticity. We train them personal branding, we train them authenticity, we train them in packaging their messages. This is something I do for free because this is my passion, leadership development. And as you have said, on the contrary, there are two types of leaders. There are those who portray this squeaky clean image, and that is their brand. Yet there are those who thrive in chaos. Like chaos is their brand and they have owned it. And funny enough, their followers own it that way. And they tell them, don't change anything, be rugged and all that.
Yeah.
So it's usually your followers at times who nurture who you become. Because if you show them, if they show you that it's okay for you to be rugged, we will still support you.
But if you don't want that.
And if you don't want that and they want that, you see there's a disconnect. So usually in leadership is determining the style to combine with those whom you're following. Fast forward it to my corporate life where we have a company we are running. We have a culture. Our culture is more open. Our hierarchy is horizontal, not vertical. Like anyone can walk into my office, we chat, I can be there, I can do anything, I can clean the toilet. Because we did it when we were starting the company. It's not hard to do it now. And that is the style we love and it works for us. So when people come from the type of environment she was in, corporate politics, everyone wants to dig into each other to go to the top. You come to office.
And he's shaking her head, she's agreeing.
Yeah, for us, there's, in my company, it's driven by innovation. No one will ask you, come at this time, or why did you do yourself, do you, so long as you deliver what the client needs. So it's always about looking at the style that fits the people whom you're leading and getting a match for both of those.
All right, and your perspective?
I think for me, personally, for my personal brand is authenticity and relatability. So I realized I actually, between 2016 and 2022, you know, that gap where I felt I want to share this journey, but I couldn't, is because I thought that's what people wanted to see, perfection, and that's what they were looking for. Yet they are looking for community and relatability and can we journey together. So like I started by saying when we started this, leadership starts with self. It grows by empowering others. And I think the question you asked is how do you sustain? So now you've grown, but the front and the back end are not, they don't match. So it sustains by staying true to the vision. Why are you doing this in the first place? So if you go through those steps while still having your vision in mind, mine is I want to, basically I'm doing this for my younger self, for all the mistakes I did, all the stuff I had to go through, I'm doing this for my younger self. So other people, other younger entrepreneurs can learn from me and from other founders, and probably their journey will be less brutal. And I feel like if I stay true to that vision, then I mean, there's no conflict of interest, if I may say so.
Got you.
And interesting, I share about my failures more than I share about my successes.
Yeah. I saw it on your LinkedIn, you know, it's part of your description.
Yeah. In fact, it says there's no manual for entrepreneurship. You learn on the go. And because you learn on the go, why not learn from those who've gone ahead of you? Not to mean you won't make mistakes, not to mean it won't be, you know, painful, but it will be at least bearable. And so
would you call yourself a leader on that end? Say, and I'm a leader on this end then.
Yes, I would. As I was preparing for this, I did start out to lead, but I guess just by traveling the journey and having that courage to show up and tell my story, and then now people are listening, and you know, we are sort of supporting each other. It's a community. I would say yes, by that definition. When I was starting out, though, it's not like I want to be a leader. It was more of I want to keep the promises I have to myself. So if I have this burning thing that I want to do, this goal that I want to achieve, you show up. You show up when no one is watching or listening. You show up, you do the thing, and then you keep doing, you keep fulfilling those promises to yourself, and eventually you find yourself sort of leading. So it's not like a status like that. I don't know how to put it, but I hope I'm making sense.
Part of your, got you on that.
Yeah.
Because for me, I think I started enjoying life when I stopped overthinking. Because, you know, at times you're consciously thinking of yourself as a leader, and that is what you use to dictate things. But you realize you just have to follow your passion. And if your passion is solving problems, from the problems you're solving, you become a leader. I remember in one of the places I used to live, there was no water cartels and all that. I told guys, hey, why don't we just contribute some money and buy our own truck to bring our own water so that we cut these cartels? And people were like, yes, in one day we raised 3 million. 30,000 people, 30,000 shillings, 100 people. We raised it, we bought our own truck, and we put it there. So you look at a problem you want to solve, and in the process, people rally behind you, and consequently becomes leadership.
You're in a leadership position.
Right. So what do we call that confidence, knowing that other people are doing what you're doing? Okay, and there are millions of others on the internet and you know, physically in the world doing what you're doing. But then you know that when I do it, this is what I will inspire, innovate, and you know, have my leadership quote unquote channel, if I may. You know.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Sorry. I think your why needs to be very clear. Why are you doing what you're doing? And if that's very clear, then you know the steps you need to take. Like you just know, to get here, I need to step here, here, here. But your why has to be very clear, why you are doing the thing you're doing. So, for example, my why was from my pain, because I had to unlearn so much, and then like there were several years of unlearning, and you can imagine how brutal that is. You go broke, auctioneers. The story is long. Yeah. But you through that period, it's a period of losses, and then now you're on ground zero. Now you start building, and therefore my why was just from that pain. And I'm thinking, how come? Yeah, I watch a lot of entrepreneurship content, and it's more about aspiration. You know, I was a chicken farmer, and now I am. You know, but what happened in between? Can you please take me through the steps? Because
that's the story I really need to hear about.
Yeah, like I want to know the steps so that then I can pick on that and maybe pick a few things I can use to get myself to the next level. And because that did not exist, I just started creating my own.
Got you.
Yeah.
You know, for me, I have a mantra that leadership is what you do after a loss. You're pursuing this position, you don't get it. Leadership is what follows. Because many people think that leadership is that position. You get it and now you become a leader. But when the phone goes cold, like no one is calling and your phone is
looking for you.
Yeah, no one is looking for you. Then that is when leadership is birthed and manifested. When you lose that project, you have gone to pitch and you don't get that project that you are pursuing, what do you tell your staff? What do you tell your team? That is where leadership is tested. So many people think of leadership as position. There are so many people in positions of leadership, but they don't have leadership in them.
They're not leaders.
They don't have leadership attributes in them. They cannot inspire a generation.
So there's this common question. I know you've had it, not that you've said that. So are leaders made or born?
It is both, because that's why we have the Pan-African Leadership Incubator initiative that I do, because it's an incubator for leadership. The same way you can incubate business people, is the same way you can incubate leaders. You can be taught to be a leader. You can be taught how not to speak and acknowledging and recognizing your influence. You can be taught how to identify problems and curate solutions that people will rally behind. So leadership is actually something that you can either be born or trained in. We've seen in Kenya, the presidents, look at them. If I take the former president, Uhuru Kenyatta, you can see his trajectory. I mean, you can see him nurtured. Right now, people are talking the way they're missing him. Yet when he started, he came in as a nominated member, then he was given local government, then he was given whatever. Before you realized it, by the end of it, he became a man of himself and a man of his own. He was nurtured into it. So you don't have to be necessarily born a leader. You can actually be trained to be that.
Okay, then.
I kind of agree. It's, it can be either. there are some who have it, it's innate, they are born with it. You can see it in little kids, you can just tell that one will become a leader. And then there are others who have to sort of work towards it. And I think for both, either is okay, as long as your vision is very clear about, you know, what you want to do, where you want to go, and how you want to impact the world.
All right, let's take a look at trends, Joby, as you also add on to that. We have very many trends, and they keep changing a lot. Like sometimes you don't even know there was even a trend that followed the one that you're trying to keep up with. So how do you deal with, you know, such aspects and keeping up with everything that you're supposed to keep up, which is a lot of information, especially handling staff, personalities, you know, new ways of maybe marketing, clients, whatnot. How do you do it?
I would say you take advantage of the resource that you have, and that is the people around you. Because
so you have no issue delegating. Let's get there.
Exactly. Now let me
the
tell
people
you,
with issues delegating.
Let me tell you, like in our company strategy meetings nowadays, weekly, I don't sit to lead them. I even appoint interns to lead them, and the whole team follows the interns.
You appoint interns to lead.
Even interns can take the lead. Like anyone, like our company right now, anyone knows I can pick up the call and say, you're the one leading the strategy meeting today. And when you give them the opportunity, they bring out some certain aspects that you're like, wow, that was amazing, that was great. It's no longer reliant on me. So I have no problem delegating. And then crowdsourcing for information, like asking them, is everything fine? Like, do you like the way we do what we do? I remember there's a time, some 7 years ago, where our office was full of men, because that was the easy, natural thing to do. Hire men, and because if you put it out there, you want certain talent and you're not specific, you're like, what an stress, the way people put it. But it got to a point, I had to hire an independent HR firm, and I told them, get me the best ladies that you can get from the industry and bring them to work for us. And they started recruiting for us. Right now, we are almost 50-50, 50 men, 50 women, and any of them takes leadership. They are those who lead several projects, and there's nothing of ego or somebody feeling like they are being stepped on. So that is just the culture that we have tried to drive. You have to believe in people for you to know the next trend.
Okay,
yes.
And
yeah, so I agree with him, and maybe just to add on to that, for your leadership to be sustainable, you have to remain curious and coachable and teachable. Meaning, like for example, in my case, I learned so much from Gen Zs. In fact, I keep saying I need more Gen Z friends, because they have these new fresh ideas, and sort of like when we come together, they are fresh ideas and my experience, and you come together, you create magic. But maybe if you look down upon them because, let's say, they don't have the experience that you do, and so on and so forth, then it won't sustain, because you're not adding to yourself, and you're also not empowering others. So growth and also sustainability. How do you empower others to grow along with you? And also how do you sustain yourself by remaining curious and coachable and teachable?
Okay.
That's what I would
Let's
say.
take a look at when you knew, each of you, this is to both of you, when you had an audience. And was there anything specific that you had to do to retain? You know, most of the time there's the pressure of what people say, network, meet people, you know, so that they can remain your clients. And when it comes to, you know, basically what I'd asked, this is a community of people who are following you. So there's the pressure to maybe even wear things that you can afford, have a lifestyle that you even can keep up with. You're out there like, hey, like it's not Joa and Dishi or Gary, like, you know, you're out there like trifling, right?
Yeah.
So Jacob, what's your perspective on this thing?
As I said earlier, I don't believe in pressuring myself for anything.
So how did you
Like,
evade that part of life?
I remember, let me take it back. Like when I was in the university, I used to make so much money as a student. And before I started making that, I used to, you know, chapa luku, na dress and all that. I used to be known for that. Then when I started making it, I toned down, because I was like, hey, man, I need to stay relatable. I need to remain relatable. So the way other people have pressure to make an impression, for me, I never have that, because I'm like, what you see is what you get. And I'm always real with it. People come to me and I tell them, hey, this is how things are, this is what we are working towards, this is what we're building. Because right now, if you look at Nairobi, young people are put under pressure by these Forex boys or wash guys, because their only injection into what they do is the optics.
No injection.
Yeah, that is the only thing they have to invest in what they do.
Yeah.
They're not like you who have to open an office, pay staff and all that. For them, they just need to get a good ride, good suit, or hire, take some nice pictures, and then you have your next thing. So I always tell people, don't fall under that pressure. Do not believe what you see on social media. Don't go by the optics. Look at the substance. I don't want to see how you're spending. Show me how you made it. In my story, I post on my social media, you see how we are doing the pitches. You are seeing me traveling, getting these awards. You are seeing me setting up new shops, new offices in different countries. I'm showing you how I'm making that money, not how I'm spending it. Because many people just want to show you how they're spending it, but they're not telling you the story of how they're making it. And that's where the gap comes in.
Okay, Anne. All right.
I think I would say in essence, entrepreneurship in itself as a journey is a very humbling experience.
Yeah.
I'm yet to meet a successful entrepreneur, those who make money legit. Forget the ones, the guys he highlighted.
Jacob is saying. Yeah.
But those who make their money legit, I'm yet to meet one who goes through that fire and comes out on the other side, you know, arrogant, wanting to impress and blah, blah, blah. Because the thing is, what you give into entrepreneurship, you get back. So any bullshit you try to put.
All right, we will just forgive you for that because it's national TV. We apologize for that, for Anne. I think she's just emotional.
Sorry, but basically you get what you give it, and so at the end of it, you will have refined, and humility will just find you. So I'm yet to meet someone who is like looking at entrepreneurship and trying to flaunt what it is not.
All right.
Yeah.
And we have to take a short break, Jacob.
Sorry.
Oh, okay. My director says it's okay. Then you can add your point.
I always tell people, there's nothing bad about being employed, and there's nothing glamorous about entrepreneurship. The struggles are the same. All of you want to just make ends meet and feed your family. So it's not for sure. You don't do entrepreneurship for sure. This is lives you're talking about. People depending on it to get their livelihood. So whether you're employed or an entrepreneur, it's fine. You just need to know this is my purpose and I'm fulfilling it.
Okay, then. Right, I'm not sure if my director, and he has confirmed that indeed we're taking a short break. We'll be back with this conversation. Stay with us.